And look, it's Friday, I got paid. Just seeing all your money, dissipating in front of you, and you're like, what am I working for? I should go ahead and treat myself. I deserve it because I work hard. But the problem is where we use that treat yourself as an excuse constantly to keep shopping. What is up, Evangelistas? Welcome back, or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Tawana, and welcome to another episode of Wind Down Wednesdays. So on our last episode, I did put up a poll for you guys to kind of pick between two different topics that we'd be discussing for this episode here. The two options I gave you guys for topics for this week would have been exposing men and should women expose men who have cheated on them, or cheaters, that sort of thing, or spend that money. You're gonna make it back. And that sort of budgeting mentality that we might have in our younger years. So I posted that poll on my Instagram and as well here in my community tab on YouTube, and overwhelmingly you guys chose the second topic, which is spend that money. YOLO. You're gonna make it back anyway, so you might as well spend it, And I'm gonna have you guys pick that because I will say that was something that was very important to me and I really wanted to speak on it. So good job to you guys, whoever voted and so forth. But before we get started, of course, we got to talk about our wine. So first of all, go ahead and pour you a glass of something, some red, white, anything that you might like. Let me know in the comments, of course, what you will be drinking. For today's episode, I actually have me a sangria. So in the sangria, I have some apples and oranges. Looks like this. You might see the bits of like fruit floating in there. But I love me some sangria. I love me a good sangria. And yeah, this one here has been hitting. But I have like this really big wine glass and not so much in there because it is a little early in the day, and I'm not trying to be wine drunk that early, you guys, sorry. But you guys will be seeing this about 5:36 p.m. So go ahead, pour you that glass like I said, and let's get into this topic here. First sip, of course. Always good, always so good. Now don't forget to like and subscribe, but let's hop right in. So I think that we've all been there at some point. Might have been yesterday, might have been earlier today, any point where we see this new restaurant is open down, in the city, or a new pair of shoes or a bag come on, or even a flight, like a sale on a flight for a hotel. And we're just like, that's a good deal. And look, it's Friday, I got paid. And you know what? I should go ahead and treat myself. I deserve it because I work hard. And we do, honestly, day in, day out, we're working, paying all these bills, from, car insurance to your phone bill to rent, whatever it might be. You're just seeing all your money, dissipating in front of you, and you're like, what am I working for? It's for me to enjoy myself. So of course, the right thing to do is to treat myself, right? And I think that we all fundamentally know there's nothing wrong in actually treating ourselves. As I said, you're working hard, you're doing so much, for friends, for family. You have to spend a little, spend a little on yourself, essentially. But the problem is where we use that treat yourself as an excuse constantly to keep shopping or purchasing things or buying things when we don't need it. And then that leads to the question is, am I kind of addicted to spending? Am I addicted to, the shopping thing, retail therapy, or whatever you might want to call it? And I will say, you guys, like personally, this is something that I've struggled with, especially in my early 20s and, probably a few years ago, where I love shopping. You guys saw that I like clothing, I like fashion, that sort of thing. And I would always constantly catch myself, when I get paid every 2 weeks, saying, oh, let me go check out my cart in, Zara or Amazon. And it's just a bunch of things which I don't really need, but I'm like, I need that boost of dopamine. And if you're unfamiliar, you guys, so dopamine is that hormone, that chemical in your brain, that feel-good chemical. That's whenever you purchase something, you hit that checkout button and it tells you order complete, or your order's in the works. That's basically that rush that you get of like anticipation of a new order coming your way in a couple of days, less than a week basically. Or in the case of Amazon Prime, basically in a day or two. And now don't get me wrong, obviously whenever I did get paid, the first thing I would do is to pay the bills, the rent, the bills, whatever it might be, followed by saving money, putting some money aside into my savings accounts. But after that, I would be like, okay, I have X amount left for myself, and I'm gonna shop. I'm gonna go spend it because it's my money to do as I please. And in my case, it would be, you know, that shopping part, the clothing, the shoes, the perfumes, the bags, whatever it might be. Someone else, it might be that you like testing out a new restaurant every time you get paid. And every now and again, those restaurants are getting more and more expensive because you're like, you know what, I got the money, I got a little bonus, or I did overtime, so let's go to this really high-end place because, again, the money's sitting in my account and the bills and everything is paid. But I had to kind of learn and teach myself that just because the money's there and it's expendable doesn't mean that I should go spend it and then kind of say, oh, I'm getting paid again in the next 2 weeks, so I'll be all right till then. You know, I'm just gonna use up all this money until my next paycheck. But again, we love that dopamine hit. We love to feel good, that instant gratification that we get from, you know, buying something, from checking out, or from knowing that something new is coming. And it's all well and good in our minds, but the fact that we're doing it over and over again, where we get something and then the next thing we're thinking of is what new can I buy, or where next can I go, you know, how can I spend this money, essentially, is flawed thinking. And I'm literally saying all this to think of, you know, let's think about it here, of how do we turn that off? This impulse shopping, or, you know, this emotional shopping, retail therapy mindset. How do you turn this off? Or should we even turn it off is the main question. So for that main question, I will say yes, we should turn it off. And I'm gonna tell you like a couple of ways that I kind of had to, a couple tips of how I had to kind of teach myself and force myself at some points to turn that off, because it wasn't worth it at the end of the day, you guys. It's really not. So it was really at some points me actively forcing myself to not hit that checkout button, you guys. Not input my credit card information or my debit card info on there and say, you know, ask myself a couple of questions. So the first one would be, how long will I use this at a thing that I'm gonna buy, or how much use will I really get out of it if I purchase it? So you might be thinking, okay, let's say you're thinking, I wanna start the gym soon, you know, I wanna start working out. But to work out and keep myself motivated, I need 5 new workout sets. Again, it's just the mentality, because you think I need new things to make me feel happy about doing something I don't want to do in the first place. So you go shopping online and you're about to buy these 5 new workout sets, purchase them, but you only go to the gym once every 2 weeks. You never actually get into a full workout routine, and then you have those sets sitting there, which you kind of forget about, and you're still not working out. So you gotta think honestly to yourself, if I buy these sets, am I really gonna work out with them? Am I gonna maximize the use out of them and, you know, justify that purchase? Whereas if you thought, you know what, let me actually get into this workout routine, get myself more familiarized with the gym, and say, you know, I'm going only twice a week now, but after I start going consistently, maybe 4 times per week, then I can buy myself 2 new sets. Use what I have for now, and then purchase the sets when I know that this is actually a part of my lifestyle. That way you're not just spending money to spend its sake, which again, I have been guilty of, and I know that you have been too, so don't even come for me. Another question you could ask yourself, which I used to do, well, I still do, I should say, is to really ask, is there something less exciting that I could be spending this money on, but I don't want to because, of course, I'm not getting that rush of, you know, feel-good dopamine within my system? And that could be in the case of, you know, you might have a credit card, and let's say there's $400, not debt, I should say, but you have $400, you know, yeah, it's debt, essentially. $400 of debt on that credit card. But you're sitting there like, I'm just paying a minimum of $40 per month and use it actively, of course. So it's not really bringing it down, but you're just paying that minimum payment so that you're not being, you know, fined late fees or anything by your credit card company. And you might say, okay, so I have $500 that I'm going to be spending, you know, expendable income, but I have this $400 credit card. How about instead of putting a minimum pay that I put $200 on there from that $500 I'm going to spend? Again, we don't think like that often because we know, I'm doing the bare minimum, that credit card's fine, and then I could keep wasting the money like I want to, like my mind tells me to. But again, wouldn't it be better if you were able to kind of pay off your debt? You could even say at one point, I'm gonna put that whole $400 on that credit card and just wipe out my debt on there altogether. But it's not the fun thing to do. So please actively think if, you know, there's something less fun that this money could go into. It might be some more towards your savings. It might just be, you know what, I'm just not gonna spend it because I don't have to, but that takes some real self-control, you guys, like a real hard-earned self-control to do. So yeah, definitely just kind of see if you could apply it elsewhere to the less fun activities, but something that will still kind of, you know, make your life easier in the long run. Now, this is a big one for my shopaholics like myself who might be into sneakers, shoes, bags, clothing, and that sort of thing. I want you to ask, do I even have the space for this? So I ran into the problem where I had a closet, of course, but I was just buying so much things that I was running out of space, really. So of course I would be putting them away. You know, I have like storage bins I would put them into. I had extra luggages I put them into, but my closet was just overflowing with things and I kept buying more, and I was like, I can't even find half the things I want to wear sometimes because I have too much clothes. So definitely think that way. Do you have the space for it? Is it just gonna be, you know, added to your closet, would it not actually be used? Because if that's the answer to your question, guys, 9 out of 10 times it means you don't need to buy this thing. You don't need another dress when you have 4 others with the tags on them that you have not worn, because you said, this is a really nice fancy dress. I could wear it at some point when I have a special event to go to, knowing full well that you hardly go out or you don't go to those type of events really. And of course, if you did have an event coming up at some point in your life, you could just buy a dress then and not have to worry about your closet, you know, stocked up of dresses that you're not using. So I had really implemented that in my life where I had to say, where am I gonna put this? Because that thought alone would provoke so much of me like saying, don't buy this, because you don't have anywhere to put it, girl. So don't even waste your time and don't try to make space for something you don't have to. Even if I constantly do declutters, I still say to myself, this looks nice how it is. I don't want to add too much to this and make it cluttered again, you know, because that just induces anxiety and everything in me. So I prefer not to do that. So that has been a really good like wavering factor where I would say, where are you going to put this, you know, new pair of jeans or whatever when your drawers and your closet are full? And I'm like, yeah, I really don't need it because I have something similar already. And of course, don't say, well, you know what, I might be on my last $100, but I'm gonna go to this restaurant because I get paid, you know, in the next 4 or 5 days, so I'm gonna just thug it out. Some people I know, they be like, you know, I'm gonna just thug it out, I'm gonna eat the bare minimum, and then on payday again, I'm gonna go spend some more cash and some more money. I need you to stop saying that, because we have to always think again of what if something were to happen where an unforeseen, super expensive, you know, thing comes out of nowhere. Which tends to happen in life, you guys. We can't deny that. And yes, you might have a savings, but do you really want to just spend all of your savings on that one thing? Whereas if you had a little leftover expendable income, you could just use from that towards that unforeseen, you know, expense. Secondly, not only an unforeseen expense, what if the worst case scenario of you losing your job were to happen? Then you're like, dang, I can't wait till next Friday because I don't get paid anymore next Friday, until you can find something else, of course, more stable. So definitely, yes, you guys, just stop saying that to yourself. Stop using that as justification, because we all know that's just an excuse for us to spend the money. It's not that we need it or we can't do without that item or thing or food or hotel deal, whatever it might be. We just want to fool ourselves when we know better. And you can't fool yourself. You can fool other people, but you cannot fool yourself, because you know that what you're doing, you don't have to do it. Saying all of this, I do want you guys to understand also that don't allow yourself to become too savings obsessed, because there are people where every last penny that they have that is not, you know, towards the bills or the groceries or whatever it might be, the savings account, well, not even the savings account, anything that's not towards bills and groceries and, you know, everything else goes directly into the savings, and they're not having any type of fun or any leisure activities with, you know, their money. And don't do that, you guys. Yes, you might be saving up for something very important, but you still have to allow yourself some, you know, grace and some downtime. So definitely enjoy yourself, because you never know what might happen again. You might, you know, God forbid, but you might get hit by a bus tomorrow and you're in the hospital for, you know, how long, and you never went out and enjoyed yourself when you could. So don't become too saving savvy. Definitely find a good balance where you are saving and not overspending, but you're not also being super miserly. And I remember I really guilt tripped myself a little bit into something where I knew that I wanted to go back to grad school. Well, I wanted to start grad school at some point, and when I was working, obviously I was like, let me try to save up some extra money, so when I go back to school, you know, things will be a little easier on me. And there was a trip coming up to go to Miami Carnival, that would be in October of 2021. Wanted to start school 2022, of course. And I remember I was in two minds. I was like, should I even be spending all this money going to party in Miami, you know, for a couple of days versus saving up that money, you know, when it could be useful in the next year or so. But I had to tell myself, you know what, you still have to enjoy yourself. Like I was just telling you guys, you still have to have a little bit of fun. And I will say that was the best decision ever for me to still go out there to Miami, because so many great memories. When I'm cramped down now, doing schoolwork, I think back, I reminisce back on, oh, that was a really good trip, and I'm glad that I got to experience that. So yeah, definitely, again, just the right balance is what I'm asking for. Another great thing that you can do, guys, is to start not checking out, not putting in your payment information as soon as you see that deal pop up on your phone or in your email, whatever it might be. You can put it in your cart, but just don't check out, is what I'm saying. Leave that item there for, you know, a couple days. And if it's something where you've asked yourself these other previous questions and you've justified that, hey, I probably do need this thing, or I could use this thing for real, then you go back and you check out. But don't do it instantly, because that's how, again, we're just looking for that instant gratification, and you know, impulse shopping really gets to us. And sometimes that's the best way, because that thing sells out before you can even come back and check out. And you save yourself some money. And as for me, guys, I did like start implementing these little tips throughout, I would say, late 2020, well, mid 2021 up until, you know, now really. And they have made such a great impact on my spending and shopping habits. I can't even fathom, you know, how much it has really changed my life in that case, where I'm not just spending like I was at some point, you know, of getting paid. My closet is less, you know, cluttered. I'm very much more intentional when I'm shopping. I'll think, you know, this is you know, is this something that I really need? Is something I need to replace? Do I have something similar already? And I do sometimes get caught up a little bit. I might still be like, ooh, this is cute, let me go purchase it. But now again, I return them. I'm like, you don't need this. Take it back to the store, girl. You don't need this at all. So please just try to, little by little, you know, like I said, implement these little tips. Actively learn and to train your mind to not only think of that YOLO, you know, you only live once, so let's buy this, let's spend this, let's, you know, make this money back when we can and stay broke until then. Get out of that mentality as much as you can, you guys. Little by little. It's going to be very tough. I'm not telling you otherwise. It's hard because we've been programmed to be consumers, you know. We get ads on our phones and on the TV and billboards, and everywhere you go, it's like a walking billboard for something to be bought. And when you're making money, it's very easy to just spend it, again, because you feel, you know, you're comfortable in your living situation and everything. But you can do, I just feel like we can do so much better as far as our savings go and just feeling more financially savvy. So take those next steps to kind of reprogram your way of thinking, your mindset around money and spending. And yeah, I think it's going to make such a great impact in the long run. So that is basically it for today's video, you guys. Thank you, of course, for joining me on another episode of Wind Down Wednesdays. I do appreciate you if you've made it all the way to the end. Of course, I'll be putting up, you know, next topics for you guys to pick for next week. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and bye, guys.